Hello there, Sal here from SJ Cooks. Now, if you're a follower of my channel, you know I'm a big fan of kettle cooking. Kettles are very versatile and they allow you to smoke and cook hot and fast. Now, if you're in the market for a charcoal grill, I highly recommend you get a kettle. Before the SNS kettle, this was my setup. A 22-inch Weber Premium with the SNSGRILLS insert and easy spin grate. I've been using the slow and sear insert on my Weber for a very long time and it never leaves my kettle. It's one of the best attachments you can get. So as you can imagine, I was very excited to try out the SNS kettle grill. I knew it was going to be a blast to use and I know it would be a very easy transition due to my many years of experience using the Weber with the slow and sear insert. Now, this isn't a sponsored video. They did not pay me to make this review video or instructed me on what to say in any way. But I am an affiliate, so I figured I'd disclose that before continuing on with the review. I've been using the kettle non-stop for the past few months. I've even done a few videos on some of my cooks. Be sure to check out my playlist of my SNS kettle cooks at the end of the video and down in the description. Now, although I've taken good care of my kettle these past couple of months while I've been cooking on it, you can certainly tell I've been using it. It's well seasoned, that's for sure. But with that said, when I do show these new out-of-the-box shots of the kettle, keep in mind that this was filmed months ago. Aesthetics aside, onto the important stuff. Let's start with the things that are different or new from my old Weber kettle setup. Let's start with the side table. The side table is very useful. SNSGRILLS' decision to put 4 legs on it makes it possible to have a very sturdy surface. Now, I wouldn't throw a ton of weight on it, but it's plenty and sturdy enough to hold a big old brisket on it without any issues. It's not going to tip over on you. Now, I became a fan of the side table when I installed it on my Weber Smoky Mountain. Now, you just don't know how useful having a built-in side table is until you have one. It's there when you need it and you fold away when you don't. I'm a big fan. All right, so I was never a fan of the hook on the lid of my Weber, you know, to hold the lid. I made it work, but most of the time I would just place the lid on the ground. Having the lid holder on the SNS kettle is convenient and I find myself always using it. It will be there to hold your lid when putting your food on and off the grill or when you want to check on your food. Okay, so the lid holder alongside the side table has made getting food on and off a much easier experience. Look, the lid temperature gauge is in the right spot, right below the vent. People have been complaining forever that the temperature gauge on the Weber is placed right above the source of your fire. It should be on the indirect side where your food is. Now, the fact that the SNS kettle gauge is on the vent side and it sits a little closer to grate level on the SNS kettle, well, it makes the temperature gauge actually useful when you're cooking indirectly. Okay, so yes, it's still off a few degrees, but it's way closer than my old Weber kettle setup. So thank you, SNSGRILLS, for listening to a very common complaint against the Weber kettle and actually addressing the issue on your own kettle and placing the temperature gauge right where it belongs. The next thing I like are the holes, the smoke hole and the porthole. The porthole allows you to place your thermometer wires through the kettle and not through the top vent or smashed up under your lid. It's a much cleaner approach if you ask me. But then you have the smoke hole. This will allow you to add in a temperature controller to control and maintain temperatures. But for now, I've been using the smoke hole to control temperatures. I will close down the vents completely and control my temperatures a little bit by dialing in the airflow through the smoke hole. It's very precise actually. It works really well. I'm not sure SNSGRILLS was expecting people to use it this way, but it works. It's really neat. Okay, so now most of these that I just pointed out, like the porthole and the smoke hole, the temperature gauge, okay, you could modify this on your Weber kettle. Nothing's gonna stop you. But remember, it's gonna void your warranty. So if you ever want to replace anything, the moment Weber sees the holes that you drilled on this kettle to modify it, Weber is not going to be pleased and it's probably not going to replace your stuff for you. So what's similar with my old Weber kettle setup? Well, let's start with the easy spin grate. I bought one a few years ago for my Weber kettle. I kept getting tired of replacing the old ones when they rusted. which is very common because the chrome plate easily burns off, especially during a hot and fast session. Now, if you want your grill grates to last, avoid the chrome plated grates and get yourself a nice stainless steel grate. In fact, I also bought the Easy Spin grate for my Weber Jumbo Joe. And at a certain point, I'll probably buy them for my Weber Smoky Mountain because, yep, you guessed it, the stock Weber grates have rusted on there too. Now, because the Easy Spin grate is stainless steel, it will last a long time. Something I'll pass down to my kids, that's for sure. Now, the main feature of the grate though is it allows you to freely spin the grate without getting stuck. If you ever tried to spin the stock Weber grate, you'll understand. The Easy Spin grate allows you to quickly rotate the grate if things get too hot on you, or if you needed to quickly get your meat off the fire, which is very common during the cold grate technique. Now, the hinge on the Easy Spin grate is also perfect size for the slow and sear, so you can easily fill it up with the charcoal and not accidentally dump any charcoal in the water reservoir. I think we've all been there. I've been using the SNS on the Weber Kettle for the past 7 years, and the Weber Kettle for a lot longer than that. So switching over to the SNS Kettle was a very super easy transition. I felt right at home. So if you own a kettle before, you'll have no problem cooking on the SNS Kettle. The Slow and Sear has been a game changer for me since I bought it, and I have cooked a ton on it. If you are unfamiliar with the Slow and Sear, here's a quick breakdown. The SNS insert will hold your charcoal, and with its built-in water reservoir will create moisture. If you've ever had trouble maintaining temps on your kettle for smoking, the water reservoir will also help you regulate temperatures. The SNS insert makes it extremely easy to get low and slow temperatures in order to smoke a lot of amazing food like brisket, ribs, and pork shoulders. If you want to go the hot and fast method, the Slow and Sear will help you with that too. If you pack the Slow and Sear with a lot of lit coals, you'll create an amazing sear zone for your kettle, which is perfect for meats like steaks. Now, speaking of the water reservoir, my old SNS didn't have the option to remove the water reservoir. I didn't realize just how great this new addition is on the SNS inserts. Being able to remove the water reservoir on the new version is a game changer. It'll maximize the sear zone. More sear zone means more grilling goodness. Okay, so the Slow and Sear insert really deserves its own review. It's a great product. So if you're not in the market for a new kettle, you should definitely check out the SNS insert. Now, are there things that I dislike about the SNS kettle? My only real complaint is the rotisserie attachment I had previously. It just won't fit the SNS kettle. SNSGRILLS does sell their own rotisserie attachment, but I figured I'd mention it just in case you already bought one for your kettle and want to use it on the SNS kettle. Of course, this isn't the kettle's fault, but I figured I'd mention it because I really can't think of anything else I don't like about this kettle. My other go-to accessories fit just fine. My Gabby's grill, my Vortex, the Weber baskets. But if you are curious if your own accessories that I didn't mention here work on the SNS kettle, feel free to email SNSGRILLS and they will let you know. So I've been a Weber fan my entire life. So I will admit I was a little nervous about trying out this grill. I'm also limited on space, so I have to think really hard before adding a new grill to my home. But so far, it's been great. And I find myself using the SNS kettle exclusively now for my day-to-day cooking. In fact, the only time I use my old kettle setup is when I'm making a Weber kettle video, or I'm cooking a ton of food that requires me to fire both of them up. So if you're thinking of purchasing, be sure to check out my affiliate link down below. But don't let me just talk about how much I like this grill. Watch me cook on it. The proof is in the pudding, as they say, and I can certainly back up how amazing this SNS kettle is by showing you how to cook on it. So judge for yourself. So if you want to see this cooker in action, be sure to check out the playlist right above and down in the description. I'll check you out on the next one.